Welcome to another edition of Go KO. Today we're going to be discussing Toy World's Shinebug TW-T05. This is a gold bug, the leader of the Throttlebots. For those of you who don't know the original Transformers lore, Goldbug is the iteration of Bumblebee, or the evolution of Bumblebee. In the same way that Ariel eventually became Elita 1, or Orion Pax becomes Optimus Prime, Bumblebee becomes Goldbug. He gets upgraded in the show. It's the end of season 3, the rebirth, where Optimus Prime comes back. Quintesson rebuilds Bumblebee as Goldbug. And he is stronger, bigger, and frankly better in all ways than Bumblebee is. And so the good folks over at Toy World have created a new character. The figure looks pretty good. It's not a perfect figure. Again, with KO, you get what you pay for. But he does look really good. Got a great amount of detailing. Right? That is just, the legs are really nicely beautiful. Look at that. Great detailing all over. He doesn't come with the Autobot symbol on. But they did send the sticker, so I'm like, I feel obligated to put it on, so I did. I would have tatted him up anyways. The gun is a little weird. It does double duty as his muffler, and I think it's a pretty strange arrangement because he really does look good. It's double barreled on both ends. One side is the muffler, one side's the gun. And I feel like they didn't need to do that. They could have just done one side that worked, but whatever. So he really does look pretty excellent. He's very posable. He does. He looks really good. I can't tell you enough how absolutely posable he is. He looks fantastic. Goldbug has a very special place in my heart. He's the last Throttlebot. Sorry, he's the last Transformer I ever purchased as a kid. I liked the idea. I was sort of coming to the end of my toy buying childhood, but I liked the idea that Bumblebee iterated up. Transformers have always been something very special to me, and so as I was getting out of collecting as a kid, I bought him just to be nostalgic. Held on to him on my shelf for years, long after I packed up all my other Transformers, but eventually let him go as well. So when I saw this guy on eBay, I just had to pick him up. He is part of a larger Throttlebot group that combines to form some sort of huge robot. I didn't even look into it. I'm not going to be getting them. I'm a guy on a budget. I can't get everybody. But again, Goldbug is kind of important to me, so I picked him up. He's fantastically jointed. He can pose really well. Really great light piping. So he is absolutely a magnificent figure in terms of his look. He's not perfect, but still magnificent. I'm really pleased with this guy. He is definitely going to be added into the Nexus 84 comic. So let's get down to it. Let's look at the transformation, and then we'll do tech specs. His gun, it looks good, but only from the top angle. From the side, it's a little bizarre. It does do double duty. The top part here, the top part here is the muffler. The bottom part is the gun barrel, and I ask you why was that necessary? Just make one side, because it does fit into the bottom of the car, obviously, if it's going to be the muffler. But if you're going to do it, I would have just had the two barrels turn into the muffler. Why not? He looks really good. He's very posable, but there are some parts that I'm not a huge fan of. For one, his arm is incredibly thin. I would have liked that to have been a little bulkier, just because it looks thicker here. It would have looked better, I think. The kibble from this tire sitting out here, I feel like that is remarkably painful to look at. It's just, there's a lot of kibble there. It's hard to get him to pose, normally. Like, he can't really put his arms at his side. They get in the way. This back piece is very bizarre. We'll talk about that in the transformation. And the kibble that holds it in place doesn't sort of clamp down. So it would have been nice to see that. But again, overall, he is great. He is magnificent. I really do like him. All my criticisms are of the small nature. So you'll see he gets a pretty good score. He transforms like into, I think that's a Mini Cooper type vehicle. And his transformation is rather elaborate. There are aspects of this that I think really are a little too clever. for all as cool as he is, and he looks pretty good as a robot and he looks pretty good as a car, there's a lot here that goes on that's fiddly, that is apt to break. So I am a little worried about that, but let's get into it. Here is his transformation. Pull out his hood, and the hood piece are actually 3 pieces. Each one of these sort of rotates out and then slides on this rail, so that it comes and it secures here. The rail is sort of flexible. It pivots a little bit, so hopefully that's to help keep it from breaking. I don't know. I'm really worried. I feel like this is going to be one of the first 3 parts that breaks off. So there is that. This whole assembly comes out, and as you can see, there's a lot going on here. Right? The hood rotates. This comes, so you have this in literally 1, 2, 3 parts. There's a lot going on here in the transformation of just the front part of the car, the windshield, the hood, all of those components. So they're going to sit here, but once you take that part apart, the hood and just the hood part can rotate around. So he's actually got 3. Oops, hello. It rotates around to the back. So that's where you want to get it. So he actually has 3 sections, right? There's the top torso, there's the middle section, which rotates, so it's just the hood, and then of course there's the bottom. So the bottom part of where the cod piece is, that's where his waist swivel is, but he does have this middle section that'll swivel around. Okay, so gonna remove this kibble, and this is actually one of my main transformation-wise critiques, is that this kibble has to sort of move in and out in order to get him to transform. We pull the back part of the coupe out. Gosh, I should really learn car parts. I mean, I live with cars. I do cars all the time. It's on this long post. That's part of why he's so thick. And I feel like this is the weakest part of the transformation. It isn't cool the way this pops out on a really long post. I don't know. It just doesn't seem transformery to me. I don't know. It's weird. The back pops out, his head pops in, and that just becomes the whole back of the car. So it does work, but I find it weird. Let's do that again. I don't know if you could see it. This whole back section rotates out. Please be in focus. Okay, this whole back section rotates out. Head pops in. That'll actually bring up the back bumper. It's kind of important that the head be out of the way. Helps if he's looking up, I guess. Puts there, and this whole back bumper forms. It's also kind of important then to get the arms out of the way, because again, this kibble here that forms the back tail lights of the car, just you sort of have to start positioning it. It's got to be ready to come in as quickly as you can get it in. The arms are an engineering feat. They're actually rather clever, but hard to do. So for the arms, one side is slightly rounded, and that's the side that you're going to want on the outside when you transform him. So the arms are in like a remarkable number of sections, and the arm takes probably the longest part of him to transform. You want to get this rounded section up here, turn this 180 degrees so that the tire is facing down. You've got this arm piece here, the forearm, and his hand. Open the tire up, turn it around so it fits the kibble. Here's where life gets really interesting. You take his whole hand and rotate it this way, and then it is on a double joint here. So it then pivots over the forearm, and that makes room for where the hand goes. Okay. So I'm going to do that same thing on the other side. Again, you want the rounded side out. Rotate the bicep 180 degrees. So that there's like a lot of like rotate 180 degrees and then rotate another 180 degrees, going on and on again. pull up the tire, the back door or the back panel, the tire go over the forearm, and that gives you room to fold the arm in. Okay, so so now that thin bicep area is actually on a hinge itself. It has to collapse like that. Okay. So again, on this side, I can show it to you. One side is flat, and one side is slightly rounded in there. You want to rotate it down, while the forearm side of it, so let's rotate it down. Wow, it does not want to hold still. You want to rotate it down. The tire's in the way, but there. You want to rotate it down, and then the tire pops up. So the whole thing sort of, I don't know if accordion is quite the right word, but it folds in on itself repeatedly. That will give you enough compactness to fit everything in. And now we gotta make sure that the back part of it is out of the way, and you gotta get everything in and fold the kibble, which is also gonna break over it. Push this back down a little just to give yourself enough room to get the kibble in. Although I gotta tell you, it's hard. You really need to make sure that angle-wise, hello, there we go. This is like where it needs to be. And you might wanna, there we go, push that in. And these guys peg in over here. So that takes a while. Like I said, the arms are a bit of a mess to do. Now we'll turn ourselves to the legs. So we'll get the top of it out of the way. The legs are, again, rather clever, just like the arms are, but maybe too much so. So you have to pull out, these just rotate out the back doors, or the doors, and their paneling. The windows are on a separate hinge, very small, very flimsy. So you want to be very careful because it's very small, very flimsy, and it's on this metal post, and you have to push this up just in order to make it be where you want to be. That's kind of strange to me. Again, I feel like this is going to break. This is going to be the windows are going to break second and third, and this is going to break after everything else. So it's really cool, but I'm really worried about just how flimsy this is going to be. We now have to flip the cod piece over another 180 degrees. So that is the second section of his that can rotate that can rotate. So he really does have sort of like two hip swivels, but one of them gets locked down when he's in robot mode. We'll lift this section by his knees up. Not that you really need it. It just gives us room. His legs accordion in. We'll fold out the door section. He's got these back stabilizers for his legs. Push those in. Push in. Do all the parts we know how to do. And accordion in the legs. They connect. Ow, ooh, there's something sharp there. Whoa. I don't know what just got me, but it was sharp. They connect in by these huge pegs. They are tight. Boom. So as you're getting the doors in, this peg hole fits that peg piece there. It is really thick. It secures, but boy, when you try to untransform him, when you try to transform him back to robot, it feels a little scary to open that. But there he is. He turns into a nice little Mini Coupe. Looks really good, very vehicle accurate, I guess, because I don't really know enough about cars to say that, but he looks pretty good. And of course the gun, as I said, guns come back, and on the back side it just pops in and it just fits really snugly there, and it's fine. So it's great that he's got his own weapon storage. He looks great as a car. There are some imperfections in the plastic though. You can see here that there is a weird sort of variance in the color across these sections here and here, and they're all over, right? They're here. I thought at first like this was an intake or like a detailing or a styling for the car, and it's not. It's smooth plastic, but it feels like there is a dent there. It's not. It's absolutely smooth. The paint is just not uniformly applied. Same thing here, and as you can see, they're not symmetrical. This one's got a sort of V shape to it. This one is a little bit more like a U. That is the saddest part to me. It just is the QC on this. It's not great quality control. But he does look really good as a car, and he takes a long time to transform. He is, you know, not up to Hasbro snuff. He takes a long time to transform. It's cumbersome, it's difficult, and frankly, I'm worried about breaking him. Just again, there are at least 5 areas. The hood, these posts here, which are thin metal, they're gonna be flimsy, and these very thin, sharp, dare I say, badly, you know, just delicately jointed, or not delicately, but slightly jointed window parts. All of those are going to break at some point. Also, to pull this out when you transform him, you kind of got to grab it by the, you don't want to grab by the windshield, but you don't want to grab by the window, because the window is apt to break. That peg is very tight, so you kind of have to grab it by the rear view mirror that sticks out, and it's on a thick piece of plastic, but there's only so long that can hold out when you put this kind of stress on it. So I can't imagine he's going to last. He really does look very cool, but I'm not sure he's going to be great in the long run. So I'm going to use him while I've got him. I hope he lasts as long as possible. Here's hoping. Okay, so here's our Shinebug. Here's all the accessories he comes with, except for one. That is this ginormous fusion cannon-y thing. I don't know if it's a fusion cannon, just ginormous cannon, bazooka. So coolly enough, they do let him hold on to it, but as you can see, it weighs him down. It is very cool as an idea. I can't wait to incorporate it. I have no idea how I'll figure that out, but yeah, he can hold that. That's neat, but he doesn't need to. He can hold it. That is totally neat. They contoured it so that it does fit in his arms. In order for him to not do this, you really got to make him into a bazooka sort of toting dude. All right, he's got to hold on to it like so, but he can, and that is awesome. Just giving him a gun that is ridiculously large is pretty neat. So let's get down to it. That is Shinebug, or Goldbug. He looks really great. Again, I'm not going to be getting the rest of the Throttle-Bots because I'm just not interested in combiners in that way. He was never a Canon combiner, and they're pretty expensive. He costs a lot because he comes with all these extra pieces, so I can totally see if that is, I can totally understand that that would be a pass for some of you. He has been out for a while. You can still find him on eBay. He is pretty cool. So in terms of his look, he gets a 7 out of 10. He does look really good in robot mode and in vehicle mode. There were just those paint application problems, as well as some of the thinness on his arm, as well as the thickness of the body, combined with the fact that this kibble really doesn't lock into place in any meaningful sense. Those are the parts that sort of take away from his overall aesthetic, which is a shame because he really does look good and is actually an excellent figure. There are these just small problems, so to speak, which come, these problems, so to speak, which, don't take away too much from the character, but should be noted. In terms of his transformation, it's incredibly involved. I think that's the best way to say it. He does have these fiddly bits, the hood here, this whole backpack area here, plus the kibble, those things are just fragile. They're on very loose, small joints, as are, of course, the windows that are hidden in here. They're just on these small joints at this end, nothing on that. They've got a lot of, they move a lot and therefore are flimsy and are apt to break off. He has a lot of really clever parts to him. The least clever part of this transformation, I think, is this, the part of the backpack that just comes out on this ridiculously long post in order to accommodate that. That's part of why his body is so thick. I just don't, not that I see a way to have done him better, but I just don't like it. He's got quite a lot of backpack as a result. The transformation is just not so great. I'm giving it a 6 out of 10. For as clever as it is in order to make him look cool, they've compromised quite a lot on his long-term durability, and I think for that it just really loses some points. In terms of posability, he is really posable. He gets a 9 out of 10, and the only reason for the 9 is that if you really want to do some foot bending or foot posing, you kind of have to remove this piece in order to get the ankles to swivel. And I would have preferred this all be sort of locked in because it does peg in very nicely. But then you really can't get much more out of this. If you want more out of it, you got to move this out of the way. And so I just feel like I wish they'd taken that into account. Just because we all like our figures, we want to pose them. That is part of the appeal of these really hyper, detailed figures that they've come into, that they've come out with. The 1980s guys looked okay, I guess, in one mode, but not the other. Sometimes it was the vehicle mode was cooler, sometimes the robot mode was cooler, but they rarely had full posability. These guys do, so if you're going to do it, give it to me hugely. So give it to me fully. So I want the full range of motion, so he loses a point for that. His plastic is problematic. Some of it is perfectly good, thick, holds together very nicely, right? The plastic down here in the legs is great. The plastic on the kibble for the tail light kibble is thin and sharp in places where you'd want to transform him. So it's a mixed bag. Also, for the plastic, there's some like greebly here that it looks like it's just the plastic's starting to crumble already. I don't know if I did that or if it was always that way when I got it. I've only had them for a few days. It's really starting to, all the wear and tear is already starting to show, and that's crazy. So I'm really worried that the plastic isn't all that great. Some of this plastic is really good, some of it not so much. So for plastic, I'm going to give him a mere 7 out of 10. Finally, we get to the price point. He is expensive. I worked on eBay until I found him for under $40. $40, he's a normal sized figure. He fits right in with your Siege line or with Earthrise, but he costs so much because he comes with all these combiner parts. And I just feel like he should cost less. I would have happily bought him without the combiner parts. Don't need them, not gonna make the combiner. He happens to be the one that comes with them. So if you're not interested in the combiner parts at all, and Throttlebots aren't a huge part of your childhood memories, I can see how he'd be an easy pass. But all in all, for his price, he gets a 6 out of 10 because, again, he does really cost a lot because of all the accessories he comes with. I'm not sure that's fully justified. I was happy to get him for nostalgic reasons, but if you're not into those nostalgia regions and you're just not into it, you can totally pass on him. Plus, now that I've bought him, I'm sure that Hasbro will come out with, a better version, or at least I'm sure that Hasbro will come out with a canon version soon, and then I'll have to buy that, and I'll think I spent way too much money. So that, in a nutshell, is TOYWORLD Shinebug. Hope you enjoyed it. Please share, like, and subscribe. Feel free to drop me a line. Happy to hear more I'm happy to hear more suggestions. If there's any Transformer you'd like me to review, feel free to mention it. If I have that bot, I will totally review that guy. If I don't, I'll look into picking it up. If you want to send me that bot just for the review, I'll happily do that and send it right back to you. And I'll throw in a one-of-a-kind comic for you. So, you know, hope to hear from all of you soon. Till then, take it easy.